This is Adam Bernard from AutoPerspectives, and welcome to another news roundup and a discussion of some of the more interesting stories in the auto industry from the past week or so. If you are a luxury brand, it's always good to have a diverse portfolio of products to attract the widest range of people possible. BYD's Yangwang brand has already launched with the $140,000 U8 Hummer fighting SUV and the $230,000 Corvette fighting and Ferrari fighting supercar. So why not add to that a super sedan to round out the trifecta? And that's what they've done here with the U7, which joins the U8 SUV and the U9 supercar officially next month. Now, this is a full-size luxury sedan, so it's actually bigger than a Tesla Model S, and it's more targeting the Mercedes EQS and the BMW i7. But even though folks expected it to start at about 1 million RMB, it starts at about $87,000 or about $50,000 cheaper than most folks expected it to show up with. So it's very aggressively priced. It is a nice looking 3-box sedan, some interesting graphics up front. Yangwang claims a drag coefficient of 0.195. That is very good. If you know anything about aerodynamics, you will know that drag coefficients can vary from wind tunnel to wind tunnel, so that 0.195 may not hold if someone else is testing it, but it does sound like one of the more aerodynamic sedans in the market. Now, the base configuration for the U7 is a 4-motor setup with 1,287 horsepower. Now, for an $87,000 sedan, that is pretty darn impressive, and they're targeting a 0 to 100 kilometer per hour time of 2.9 seconds. The range, when you convert it to EPA, which is generally a little more realistic, turns out to be about 335 miles, so not as good as the best players in market, but still at least competitive. And they're also claiming 30 to 80% charge in 20 minutes at a maximum charge rate of 500 kilowatts. So remember, most EVs charge now at a maximum of 350 kilowatts. So this does raise the bar. Of course, you also have to find a 500 kilowatt charger, which some of the Chinese automakers are already working on. In addition to the EV, there is also an extended range electric vehicle. And we're starting to see more of those coming from Chinese automakers that actually has a longer wheelbase and a very unusual 2-liter boxer engine. That's right, it's a flat 4, not unlike what Subaru has and what Volkswagen used to have in the Beetle ages and ages ago. And they are claiming an EV range of about 95 miles before the gasoline engine kicks in. There's all sorts of fun technology underneath the U7 as well. The Dices Z suspension replaces shock absorbers with magnetic suspension motors to improve reaction times. And if you go online, there are some pretty impressive videos that show how smoothly this vehicle rides and how quickly it adapts to different road surfaces. It has 4-wheel steering, where the rear wheels will steer up to 20 degrees, which is better than any other 4-wheel steering vehicle out there, at least in this segment. That enables crab walk, and each of the 4 individually controllable motors enable tank turns, if for some reason you want to do a tank turn in a nice, expensive luxury sedan. Because this comes from BYD, it uses their God's Eye automated driving, in this case level A, which is the highest level. It has 3 LiDAR units, which also collect data to help adjust the suspension to road imperfections. It also has 13 cameras and 12 ultrasonic radars. Inside, you see there's multiple screens, including screens on the doors for the rear view cameras, DeepSeek AI, and an available 4-seat configuration. So overall, there are some pretty impressive specs here. And if you're going to go after the big boys, you have to come suitably well equipped. The biggest challenge, of course, is that people don't think of Yangwang yet in the same breath as Mercedes and BMW. The other thing that Yangwang does not appear to offer yet is the level of bespoke capability that people who spend $100,000 in a luxury vehicle might otherwise expect. But at least from a technology standpoint, they appear to be where they need to be. Nissan has been in the news quite a bit lately, most recently with a new CEO taking over. And this was after the failed Honda-Nissan merger collaboration and rumors that the outgoing CEO was not super supportive. The new CEO has not spoken a lot, but he has said that he is coming from planning, and he is also a big car enthusiast. So he's even talked about bringing some sports cars back to the Nissan showroom. In the meantime, we haven't seen those, but under the heading of full speed ahead, Nissan has started to show the world a number of new products due out over the next 3 years. And starting with the vehicle in the center of the image here, which is the next generation Nissan Leaf due by the end of the year. This replaces the 16-year-old small hatchback that was essentially the first modern mass market EV. The Leaf did undergo a significant change a number of years back, not a full model change. So you could argue the current vehicle, although very affordable, is also getting a little long in the tooth. So this is brand new. It has now been repositioned as a small SUV because, of course, everyone loves SUVs, and it shares its platform with the larger and more expensive Aria. And it gets a standard NACS port as well. It will offer 19-inch wheels, a panoramic moonroof, and claims a drag coefficient of 0.25, which for a small SUV is actually pretty impressive. On the European cycle, they're talking about a 373-mile range, which translates to about 320 miles on the EPA cycle, which is pretty competitive. Now, the base Leaf, which will probably start somewhere south of $30,000, will probably not have that range. You'll need to get a bigger battery for that, but the capability is there, which is good. Also discussed is the Rogue. You'll see in the upper right here, 2 Rogues. One is an update to the current Rogue, which will get a plug-in hybrid. And then the next gen Rogue, which is due out in calendar year 27, that will include an e-Power Series hybrid, a gasoline version, and a plug-in hybrid variant. On the left, there's a next generation Nissan Sentra en route, so they are still in the car business. And there is an also updated Pathfinder. At the very back, you'll see, and these are all my labels, it says Xterra there in quotes. That's what everyone's hoping. The Nissan Xterra developed a bit of a cult status, and Nissan has announced an official adventure-focused EV due in early 2028 and built in the US. You might recall at one point Nissan was going to be building a midsize sedan in the US. That has either been delayed beyond 2028 or just plain old canceled outright. But with the popularity of Scout and Bronco and Wrangler, Nissan felt that maybe it's time to bring an Xterra type vehicle to market. So we'll have to wait, unfortunately, about 2.5 years to see that vehicle. We know that Renault in Europe has made a big deal about resurrecting some nostalgic nameplates and pouring that into their EV portfolio. And as part of Nissan's full speed ahead reveal last week, we also saw the new Nissan Micra. This was inspired by the 3rd generation Micra that you see there on the upper right with the cute little bug-eye headlamps. But it actually shares its hard points and its platform and the powertrain with the Renault 5 E-Tech, which is currently on sale and walked away with the European Car of the Year award. The new Micra was designed in the UK and built in France. And while the previous Micra was sold in Canada, it still might be sold there. It never made it to the US. Frankly, I'm not sure that US buyers are really looking for a small EV like this, so we may not get a chance to see it, but it is indicative of Nissan trying to kind of create some memorable products that draw on some of the heritage of the brand, but also leverage some of the newer technology available. So this vehicle is expected to show up by the end of the year, and we'll have to wait and see it in person. If you think that Infiniti has been somewhat neglected of late, you are probably accurate. The current QX50 and QX55, which are among the best sellers in the Infiniti portfolio, are about to disappear from the lineup along with the Q50 sedan. That leaves them with the QX80 that was recently updated. That's their Escalade fighter, and the QX60, which has been on sale for a number of years. That's their midsize 3-row SUV. There was supposed to be a US-built Infiniti luxury sedan. It was actually supposed to launch this year, and then it got delayed to 26, then to 27, and now, well, it may be off the table completely. But as part of Nissan's full speed ahead reveal, they also talked about Infiniti. So on the right, you see in shadow there an updated version of the QX60 that is due this year. Next year, we'll see the QX65, which you see on the left in shadow. That is a coupe variant of the QX60. So same platform, largely the same interior, faster roofline, no rear seat, and probably a little pricier. And then in the back is Infiniti's first EV, and that is due by 2028. That is an electric SUV built on the QX inspiration concept from a couple of years ago, and that's probably why it's so small, because we're not entirely sure what it's going to look like. But it does indicate that Nissan is dumping some money into the Infiniti brand. Is it too late? Possibly, given where all the other European brands are in terms of electrification, and even Lexus offering plug-in hybrids almost across the board. Infiniti seems to be way behind. We are expecting some sort of electrification on the QX60, but that has yet to be specified. It's interesting to note that while BMW and more so Mercedes have targeted the large luxury SUV segment for a while, Mercedes, I believe now, is on their 3rd generation full-size luxury SUV with the GLS. This is an area that Audi has avoided up to this point. If you go back to 2013, Audi actually trademarked the name Q9, and we are now seeing a Q9 being tested, and here it's been rendered. It is likely to launch next year, and it will slot above the Q7 and target the BMW and the Mercedes GLS, as well as, of course, Range Rover and Cadillac Escalade. It is not an EV. It's based on the new premium platform combustion PPC that launched with the new A5. It will likely include a high-performance SQ9 variant powered by a plug-in hybrid V8. It could be shown this year, as early as the Munich Motor Show in September. It doesn't replace an existing product, so it's not like it would cannibalize a whole lot of sales, and it probably would be good for Audi to get this vehicle out in front of customers and get it into their consideration set. It's worth noting that 2026 was supposed to be the last year for the launches of any new Audi internal combustion vehicles, but they have, like everyone else has noted, the drop-off in EV demand, and so there may be one or two more internal combustion vehicles coming from Audi before they start to move towards a fully electrified portfolio. That about wraps things up for AutoPerspectives for this week. If you want to learn more, please visit us at www.autoperspectives.net. And if you like what you've seen here, please like and share. And we will see you back here next week.